Welcome to Mindset Hub Tube. Before we begin, I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that every dream you've ever buried is still alive, quietly waiting for you. Not because the world suddenly became easier, not because luck finally knocked on your door, but because somewhere inside you, a door you never noticed has finally opened. Tonight isn't about becoming someone else. It's about meeting the person you've been walking beside your entire life without ever truly seeing. Ethan stood outside a train station every evening at exactly 7:15, not because he was waiting for someone, not because he had nowhere to go. He simply liked watching people rush past him, businessmen carrying laptops, students laughing together, parents holding children's hands, street musicians smiling despite empty guitar cases. Everyone seemed to know where they belonged. Everyone except him. At 28 years old, Ethan had mastered one skill better than anything else, looking busy without actually moving forward. His apartment was filled with unfinished notebooks, half-completed online courses, business ideas written on sticky notes, workout plans that lasted 4 days, dreams carefully protected by one dangerous sentence. "I'll start when I'm ready." One rainy evening, an old maintenance worker sat beside him on the station bench. The man wore faded boots and carried a metal toolbox covered in scratches. "You've been sitting here every Tuesday," the old man said. Ethan laughed awkwardly. "You noticed?" "I notice everyone who keeps waiting." "I'm not waiting," the old man smiled. That's usually what people waiting the longest say. Those words stayed with Ethan all night, not because they were clever, because they were painfully true. Have you ever noticed how strange fear can be? Sometimes it doesn't scream. Sometimes it whispers. It sounds reasonable. You should prepare a little more. You should wait for the perfect moment. You don't have enough experience. And before you realize it, months quietly become years. The next afternoon, Ethan found himself returning to the station. The old man was repairing a broken bench. Without looking up, he asked, "Tell me something. If your life stayed exactly the same for the next 10 years, would you be proud of it?" Silence. Cars passed. Birds landed near scattered crumbs. A train arrived with its familiar roar. Ethan couldn't answer, because he already knew. No. The old man tightened one last bolt. Good. The worst answer would have been yes, when your heart meant no. That evening, Ethan walked home differently. Nothing outside had changed, but something inside him had become impossible to ignore. For the first time, he stopped asking, "What if I fail?" Instead, he wondered, what if this empty feeling never leaves because I never truly try? Sometimes that question changes everything. Across town lived a young woman named Maya. She worked 2 jobs, one at a bookstore, another cleaning office buildings after sunset. Most people assumed she was exhausted. She was, but exhaustion wasn't her greatest burden. It was comparison. Every night she scrolled through photos of classmates announcing promotions, vacations, engagements, and new homes. She looked around her tiny apartment, peeling paint, secondhand furniture, bills stacked on the kitchen table. "I'm already behind." She whispered those words so often they became part of her identity. One night, an elderly customer entered the bookstore. Instead of buying anything, he simply wandered between shelves for nearly an hour. Finally, he approached the counter holding an empty notebook. "Interesting choice." Maya smiled. "You haven't even looked inside." "I don't need to." "How do you know it's good?" The old man laughed softly. "The value isn't in the pages. It's in what eventually fills them." After he left, Maya couldn't stop thinking about that sentence. Maybe people weren't born valuable because of what they already had. Maybe their lives slowly became valuable through what they chose to place inside them each day. From that moment, she started writing 1 page every evening. Not impressive achievements, tiny victories. "I walked instead of quitting. I apologized first. I saved $5. I read 10 pages. I kept my promise." Nothing extraordinary. Yet after months, something remarkable happened. Her confidence no longer depended on comparing herself to strangers. It came from keeping promises to herself. There is a quiet strength that grows whenever your actions begin matching your words. No applause is needed. No audience is required. Your own heart notices, and strangely, that becomes enough. Meanwhile, Ethan made a decision so small, it almost felt meaningless. Every morning before checking his phone, he would spend 30 minutes working on one idea he had abandoned years ago, not because he believed it would make him rich, because he wanted to become someone who finished what he started. The first week felt awkward. His mind wandered. Notifications tempted him. His coffee became more interesting than the work itself. He realized something uncomfortable. Distraction wasn't stealing his time. It was stealing his identity. Each unfinished promise whispered, "You can't trust yourself." So instead of chasing motivation, he practiced something quieter, returning. Whenever his attention drifted, he returned. Whenever doubt appeared, he returned. Whenever progress felt invisible, he returned. Little by little, his mornings began shaping his days, then his weeks, then something even larger, his belief in himself. Not because success arrived overnight, because consistency introduced him to a version of himself he had never met. One Saturday, Ethan crossed paths with the maintenance worker again. The old man was planting flowers near the station entrance. "You've stopped sitting on the bench." Ethan smiled. "I've been busy." "No." The old man shook his head gently. "You've been alive. There is a difference. Many people fill every hour. Very few truly inhabit it." Months passed. Maya's notebook became 2 notebooks, then 5. She wasn't famous. She wasn't wealthy. But when unexpected challenges appeared, she noticed something had changed. She no longer panicked at every setback because she had collected evidence, hundreds of tiny reminders that she could endure difficult days without surrendering who she wanted to become. Confidence isn't built by imagining future victories. It grows by remembering past resilience. Then life tested both of them. Ethan's project failed. Not dramatically, quietly. The client rejected it. Savings disappeared. Friends suggested he return to the safe routine he once despised. For 3 nights he stared at the ceiling, wondering if they had been right. Maybe dreams belonged to people born luckier. Maybe effort wasn't enough. Maybe. Then he opened one of his old notebooks. Inside he found dozens of abandoned ideas. Each one ended at the exact moment things became difficult. For the first time he recognized the true pattern. Failure had never defeated him. Leaving had. So instead of beginning something new, he repaired what already existed. One improvement, one conversation, one adjustment. He discovered that broken plans sometimes become stronger after they are rebuilt with experience. Around the same time, Maya lost one of her jobs. Fear returned instantly. Bills remained. Rent didn't disappear because hope existed. That night, she almost threw away her notebook. "What was the point?" she whispered. Then she read the very first page she had ever written. "I survived today." Just one sentence. Simple, ordinary. Yet tears filled her eyes, because the woman who wrote those words had no idea how strong she would become. Sometimes we forget that our past selves are quietly cheering for us. They endured storms, so the present version of us could keep walking. Don't disappoint the person who refused to give up when everything seemed impossible. Winter arrived. Snow covered rooftops. The station looked almost magical beneath soft morning light. The maintenance worker retired. Before leaving, he handed Ethan a tiny compass. Not expensive. Its brass surface had faded with time. "I don't need this anymore." Ethan turned it over. "It doesn't point north." The old man smiled. "It hasn't for years." "Then why keep it?" "Because every morning it reminded me that direction comes from decisions, not objects." He paused before walking away. The world will always offer you maps, but no map can choose your destination. That was the last time Ethan saw him. Yet somehow, the old man's voice never really left. Years later, people began asking Ethan how he became successful. They expected secret strategies, perfect routines, life-changing shortcuts. Instead, he laughed. "It started the day I stopped waiting for certainty." Across town, Maya was asked a similar question. "How did you become so confident?" She looked at the worn notebook stacked beside her window. "I didn't. I simply became more honest. Every day I chose one action that matched the person I hoped to become. And eventually, the distance disappeared. Maybe that's where real transformation hides. Not in spectacular moments. Not in dramatic speeches, not in overnight miracles, but in ordinary mornings when nobody is watching. In difficult afternoons when quitting feels reasonable. In quiet evenings when you choose one more honest step instead of one more excuse. Your future is listening to every decision your present self makes. Not judging, simply waiting. Waiting to discover who you decide to become. If you're listening tonight, feeling lost, feeling behind, feeling like everyone else has already found the path, remember this: forests do not grow because every tree races toward the sky at the same speed. Some stand in sunlight, others spend years beneath shadows before finding their opening. Yet when their moment arrives, they rise with incredible strength because their roots never stopped growing. Maybe your roots are growing right now, even if nobody applauds, even if nobody understands, even if progress feels invisible. Invisible growth is still growth. The sunrise spends hours preparing beneath the horizon before anyone calls it beautiful. Your life can do the same. One day, a young boy visited Maya's bookstore. He looked frightened. "I don't think I'm good at anything." She handed him a blank notebook. "Neither is this." He frowned. "It's empty." "Exactly. And that's why anything is still possible." The boy smiled, a small smile. But sometimes the smallest smiles begin the biggest journeys. Tonight, before you fall asleep, don't ask yourself whether you're talented enough. Don't ask whether you're lucky enough. Don't ask whether you're smarter than someone else. Ask something much simpler. What promise can I keep tomorrow? One promise, one honest step, one act of courage. Repeat it often enough. Ordinary choices build extraordinary lives. Years from now, you may not remember the exact day everything changed, because change rarely arrives like thunder. More often, it arrives like dawn, quietly, patiently, almost unnoticed, until one morning you realize the darkness is no longer in control. And when that day comes, you'll understand something beautiful. The greatest breakthrough was never hidden in the world around you. It was patiently waiting inside the person you were becoming all along. Thank you for spending this time with Mindset Hub Tube. I truly hope this story reminded you that your future is built one faithful step at a time. Keep believing in yourself, keep showing up, and keep becoming the person your heart has always known you could be. If this message touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Mindset Hub Tube, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and leave a comment telling us the lesson that impacted you the most. Until next time, take care of yourself and never stop building the life only you can create.